Nickie told me to start wherever my head is. So good luck. Everybody strap in.
Buckle up,
Oh my gosh, you need like 4 buckles. We need
like
4 buckles.
the race car drivers have.
Yeah, yes.
You need a harness.
I need a harness
You
right
need a
now.
harness. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Uh,
Sometimes people underrate that. They'll say, "Gosh, you ask me where my head's at." And they'll kind of poo-poo it a little bit, like, "Well, what does that matter?" Well, it's everything.
it's everything.
So where's your head at?
I know right where my head's at.
All right, tell us.
Back-to-back bad sales weeks to kick off a year is not good. I'm struggling quite bad.
Okay.
I'm overcompensating the burnout with coping methods I don't love. But I'm just cranking. I'm just like trying to produce. You're trying to. Back-to-back sales weeks is also unacceptable.
Back-to-back bad sales.
Bad sales weeks.
What does bad mean?
This week we recover, but we recover because of my work, and I'm not happy about that. Not the sales, not the sales team's work. To be blunt, I'm fucking frustrated. And on Monday, we definitely had a come to Jesus meeting, and I should probably go to church on Sunday after that one. Back-to-back bad sales weeks. We did 26 in Rev last week. We did 22 in Rev the previous week. A bad week should be 50.
Okay.
And it's not because the leads, it's not because the product, it's not... my team hasn't been on it the way that I need them to be on it. So, on Monday, they got the message loud and clear. This week, we've bounced back a good bit, but we're still not at that 50 mark. Yesterday, I ran an amazing lead gen on my stories for TM, for the coaching. And it was send me your lab report, and I'll analyze it for free. And I'll give you some sauce, too. So... within 40 minutes, there was 67 lab reports. Well, there were 66, and as I was putting on my Instagram story saying that I'm closing out, 67 came in. Now we're over 100. We're getting back to everybody. And at the end of these reports, we're pitching a deal. Like $2K for 6 months if you want to come work with a team coach to fix this. But you got to capture this by Saturday at noon. We've done a lot of signups from that. We've done about 22,000 of signups from that. So when I look at the sales numbers for the week, well, I was the one doing the sales. And
Were you closing as well?
Yeah, so on numbers like that, like I'm not going to hop on. You can respond to this email. We're not hopping on calls for 2006.
Sure.
Like we hop on calls for the high ticket stuff, but you could say that I'm closing, yeah. Because, each of these, that takes about 8 minutes to do. It's about a 4 or 5 minute Loom video. It takes me about 4 or 5 minutes to go through the labs. What I had to end up doing was I pulled my team in. Like, hey, I need you guys to help out. So I'm sending my analysis to them, and then they're sending the Loom video to the prospective leads that sent us their lab reports with my sauce, right? And then they're pitching the deal at the end. I'm fine doing that, but now I'm putting another hat back on of, I've got to drive sales for me to hit a low revenue target of, we should be doing $50,000 a week on a bad month. In December we have back-to-back weeks over 100K.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to go down to 22 and how are you going to go down under 40 after that?
Well, do you want the good news or the bad news?
Bad news. I'm not in a good news mood right now.
Mm-hmm. The bad news is this is what happens. That's also the good news. I always remember when we first started doing executive coaching, clients would sign up and they would say, now how long am I going to need this? And, I'm 50 years old, so I was around when we first got internet and when we first got dial-up.
Yeah.
So the way I respond to people is I say, well, do you remember when you got the internet? When have you wanted less internet? And as we can see from anybody who knows when the internet began, it was really, really painfully slow. And then it got faster, and it can't get fast enough. Because now that we have the internet, all we want is more internet.
more.
And anybody who doesn't know what it was like to have the internet at first also doesn't know what life is like without the internet,
Yeah.
and I'm sure can't even imagine it.
Holy
My whole
cow, I've
point,
never thought about that.
right?
Like 25-year-olds have had the internet their whole life.
Mm-hmm.
I remember not having internet, but I was very young.
Right, you were very young. You were like 6.
Yeah, I remember my parents having a gigantic phone in the car.
Yep,
A gigantic phone. I remember
Yep.
internet being the cord.
yep.
Is that an Ethernet cable or whatever?
I don't even
remember
know
that.
if it was, no, it was a telephone.
It was a telephone wire.
because it was dialed
dialed
up.
up.
Yep.
I was like,
You
I
must have,
remember my grandparents watching me in the summer. So I was 7, 8.
that sounds about right, because
Yeah.
I remember us sitting in the first house that we bought, and we'd created, that's when home offices started to become a thing, like 25-ish years ago. And my husband and I were, newly married. We got married at 20. So we had this home office and this bulky computer that we set up. And anyway, you just watch it. You would watch the screen load,
Yeah.
and it would take minutes,
It would.
not seconds.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it would take 15 minutes or 30 minutes, but it was a long ass time. The reason I say that in the spirit of what you're bringing up is when you start coaching, you want to be with your coach long enough so that when you go backward, we can help you use that momentum going backward to propel you forward more. And that's what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny that it's happening right now, because I was in a really conflicted state when I saw you 2 weeks ago, because I wanted to tell you this was going to happen. And I thought, no, I'm not going to. And so when we ended our conversation via the podcast 2 weeks ago, at the end of that conversation, I said, hey, I think it's really important for Kelly, your new CEO, to get some coaching. And you signed up and you committed. And I'm really glad that you did. One of the number one reasons that I said that is because I knew that her biggest struggle in becoming CEO is going to be learning how to manage you.
Yeah.
Because you now have a responsibility to allow acceptable failure. You now have a responsibility not to be Superman. And it is easy. It's far easier for you to jump in, swoop in, and save it. And that is not a recipe for success. That is not a recipe for other people to learn. And I can sit here in front of you and say that because I've done it and I've learned it firsthand. So the couple of things that we want to acknowledge is, number one, it's critical for you to acknowledge that no one will be you. No one has the same passion for this business as you do, because you created it. You invented it in your mind. So I think what we want to do is we want to break this down. It sounds like the organization has weekly sales goals of 50 grand. Is that right?
Yeah.
Is that the weekly expressed sales goal?
Right now it's 65.
Okay. And so tell us about like tracking mechanisms, what kind of meetings happen, how are we working toward those sales with the team, not Justin? And actually, one question before we do that, did you take these new clients on? They're not Justin's clients. Okay. So this isn't a total loss.
Yep.
This is, you're still protecting your ongoing schedule. You've stepped in over the last couple of weeks to help be the promoter and help use your intellect to analyze someone's blood work. Based on that blood work, you can give them a Loom video that hits them right where they needed to be hit. So they go, oh, wow, Together More can totally help me with this situation. My confidence in that has gone through the roof because Justin just gave me insight that no one else has given me.
Yes.
Is that what's happening?
Absolutely.
Okay. So before I go into what I was going to go into, let's call attention to naming. What would you say are your 3 biggest frustrations or disappointments right now?
Performance of my setter in the DMs, whose job it is to connect, nurture, and set appointments.
And so what I hear in that is that the setter, the way that they're going about their responses is not resulting the number of appointments that you believe it should.
Yeah.
Okay?
It's not, I don't believe it's him. He's amazing. I think he's just overbooked and overworked.
So is it that he's responding poorly? Is it that his responses are delayed and not as rapid as you'd like to see them be? What does it look like?
Yes and yes.
Both of those.
Both.
Great.
Yeah. I connect with people, before I ask them to really do anything. And, some of the messages have just gotten, it's not lazy, it's just rushed, because I think they just need help. There's so many conversations happening in my DMs. That's my number one, because then that sets up the rev team to get on the call, see if it's a good fit for this prospect, and if it is, we move forward, and if it's not, we won't make an offer. And I think that we're doing a good job on that end based on the numbers that I'm getting, that are getting reported to me. So I would say that's number one. Number two, I expect my effort and Shannon's effort to continually get matched. And I know that nobody's going to have the passion that we have, but man, y'all are making a lot of money. Like I pay well. I went out and I got the best ones, and ones who I really believed in. And they make a lot of money off of me. So you don't have that same passion for the company, but you better be financially, if you're gonna be in my DMs, you're gonna be selling my offer, you better be financially driven, like highly financially driven. Because, my offer is one of one. We know how good it is. Everyone knows how good it is. And because it's so good, it's not for everybody. So we're not just gonna BS people to get them to sign up and, so on and so forth. But then my third frustration would be, I feel like there's a lot of swings and misses right now, and I'm not sure how many swings you get at leads who need this, but then the outreach seems to be cold or robotic or rushed. Mm-hmm. And I spend time with people. I curate with people.
Well, let's slow down for a minute and talk about the acquisition process to make sure that you and I are on the same page with the steps in that process. And then we can break it down to where is the process failing. Mm-hmm. So the first step in an acquisition process is to have somebody raise their hand and say, I'd like to talk. Mm-hmm. In your organization, that sounds like it comes by way of DMs.
Yep.
So number one, we got to have somebody raise their hand, mm-hmm. and we have to have a lead.
Yep.
So that's step one. Step two is to get a meeting or a conversation with the lead where there's some back and forth dialogue. Mm-hmm. That's step two. Step three is to make sure that you have an understanding of where the lead has gaps. And then the lead, step four would be the lead has an understanding where you can fill their gaps. Step five would be the recommendation, proposal, or offer. And step six is acquisition. And step seven is let's get started. Mm-hmm. So we'll go through that again. So step one, lead comes in through DM. Mm-hmm. Step two, there's some dialogue with the lead. Mm-hmm. Then we uncover the need of the lead. You expose how you can fill that need. Mm-hmm. We then give a proposal. We then acquire the client or don't, mm-hmm. and we then start them. Mm-hmm. Okay, so it sounds like the very initial step is still doing well. So the number of leads that are raising their hands, that are coming in through the DMs. Okay, so let's get excited there, Justin.
Yeah.
let's get excited. And by the way, you may want to make sure to write down each of those steps that I just talked about so that you can scrub through them, every single step with your team. The one thing I'm really encouraged about is you're not degrading or belittling your team right now, mostly. You're very excited about who's on the team. You're very confident in their capabilities. Your judgment is that they're not hustling as fast as you hustle.
Yep.
And that we'll get to in a little bit. So if we look at each of those steps, I want to bring us back to people will perform according to the process. We talked about this a little while ago, and it's going to make even more sense right now because you have some pain and sensitivity around people not performing. So what we learned a few weeks ago is when the performance is always the indicator. Now you're making a mistake where what you're doing is you're pointing poor performance to meaning that the people aren't doing it. That is not what we want to do. We want to acknowledge the poor performance, and the poor performance is indicated by sales or lower. Now we need to look at the processes, and we need to figure out where the processes are weak. Okay? So first step, client acquisition, or first step is somebody raises their hand, there's people in the DMs. We're getting the numbers we need there. Second step is dialogue with those people. How strong is that?
That's where the system is breaking.
That's what I was hearing.
That's where the system's breaking. It's not as strong as it needs to be. It's not because anyone's gotten lazy. It's because I believe there needs to be more help. There needs to be more reinforcement, more resources poured in with other people coming in.
You don't think there's enough people in order to handle the volume.
No way.
And then what you're saying is the quality of the responses from the TM team right now is lackluster.
Yeah.
Whereas what you're saying, and this is part of the process. So what I heard you say is when someone comes through the DM, you immediately, part of your process has been figuring out how you can connect with them.
Yeah.
What's happening right now, the process is not how can we connect. The process has become how can I check a box and say I've done the thing on my job that I'm supposed to do. So now we see the process is weak. The process needs to be how can I connect with that individual. And now you're realizing that there's not bandwidth to connect.
Yep.
And so the cool news is if you create bandwidth for people to connect, you believe you have people on your team who are capable of connecting. That's great. So now we've noticed one weak link in the chain. You stepped in, and when you gave the offer, was it a blanket offer to the universe and then you were waiting for DMs to come in? Or was your offer specific to people that had already DM'd?
Great question. It was to the universe. So I put out on my Instagram story to first 10 people to send lab reports. I'll get back to today. Like I've got some time. Way more than 10 responded. And obviously we've got a lot of signups, which is great. But my whole, I'll say but there. I don't love using but.
I know.
Like using and also. But that was my entire day. So now other responsibilities had to get pushed.
Yeah.
It's bled into this morning. There's still many more to go. And I'm thrilled that many people trust me with reading their lab work. And we have opportunity on all these people to convert them into clients because nobody else is talking to them the way that I'm talking to them. And also, dude, I got a lot of ECA work that needs done. I've got a lot of ECA work. I lost Wednesday because my phone wasn't working.
Pause for a minute.
Yeah.
I want to stay focused on this issue because you and anybody listening runs into this. You were on fire when I saw you 2 weeks. Everything was perfect. Now you're frustrated. Now you're telling me...
I'm pissed off.
Pissed off. And you're telling me that you have what's the word you used about your relationship and working from home? Toxic?
It's pretty toxic.
Yeah. and you're using coping mechanisms that aren't awesome, which we'll get to. Okay, so let's go back to top of funnel. So now you just indicated that top of funnel was strong. The reason it sounds like it's strong, though, is because you stepped in with this offer that helped feed top of funnel. Is that right?
Yes, and I connected with all of these people.
Okay, so we have both facets are weak then right now.
Yeah.
Filling the funnel was lagging. You stepped in and made an offer. You made it from yourself. You are trusted. It resulted in leads. Then the second piece that's lagging is how we're responding to those leads in our DMs is more of a checkbox versus make sure to connect.
100%.
Okay. Well, it's an interesting point. So a couple of things that are happening right now. You are going to continue to go through some of these challenges, and each step of the way, we need to use it to hone and refine your specific role and contribution to Together More. So maybe what is unfolding is that Together More is not ready for you to leave being the face of the business. Maybe that continues to be needed, where you're the face of the business and you're helping to generate the leads.
I'm very comfortable. I prefer that.
I think so.
I prefer that. I want to be inside ECA. I just want to be the face of TM. No one can get leads the way I can get leads, not because they're not capable. I have an incredible staff. It's natural to me.
Well,
it's never been an issue.
You've also worked so long and so hard to build the following that you have.
Yeah.
So of course, you say something, there's more people listening, therefore more people responding. So I think one thing that we just defined is you have a responsibility on the team to help fill the funnel. The fact that we're getting DMs when Justin does something, that's a good thing. That means the person is performing according to the process. The person in this instance is Justin, is making sure to put out important messages that equal leads. That's the process. The process is we need critical messages from a person that has significant followers in order to generate the number of leads needed to reach our numbers. That person is Justin. The process you follow is there needs to be a schedule of how often you're putting messages out that generate leads. So let's say that part of the process is okay. The part where it sounds like is weak is what do we do once the leads come in? Mm-hmm. Now, intuition is something you have, and it's something very difficult, let's say impossible, to train. So now we need to figure out how can you codify your intuition? So you can start breaking down the types of messages you get in from people. You could start putting them in categories. This message is an indicator that they need this. When they need this, this is how you respond to them. This message is an indicator that they need this. So what I'm saying is the process of how we respond to DMs needs to be broken down much more specifically so that the type of DM is given a name, and that type of DM is given an automatic script of this is how we respond to it. Now, there's an element of that automatic script that also needs to be malleable, where the person, the actual human being giving the response, can have some comment that makes it personal.
Absolutely, 100%. Can I touch on that real fast?
Yeah, I'm hoping that this is starting to help.
It is. The issue is now my brain's cranky and I want to shut this
podcast
off and go make a fucking system.
I just saw your mind go from, you went, here's what I saw happen, Justin. I saw your brain go from blaming and looking at how everybody else is wrong and being pissed off. I saw you go from blaming to solving. And I saw you also realize that you can be part of the solution. And the fact that you're confident in your team, once you give them better tools, maybe right now it's a little like what they have for tools at the moment to respond to the DMs might be like having a Phillips screwdriver when they need what's the other one?
The Phillips, a flathead.
Yeah, a flathead.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't do much
Yeah.
when you need a flathead and you've got a Phillips.
Yep.
That tiny tweak may make a huge difference.
Where I personalize. Oh my gosh, I have it. I've got to take this note real fast.
It is so fun to see you think, and you're solving this in real time. And this isn't something I normally do. I'll speak though to those who are listening or watching. If you haven't been in this position, you're lying to yourself. And I hope what you're really recognizing is when something goes different than what you planned for, hoped for, expected, whatever, you must take a minute and look at every step and then figure out where is the weakest link. And that's what we just did. Mm-hmm. So now you have something to tweak. I'm not saying that there may not be some other weak areas in the process. I think, though, what we just have figured out is the weakest link. Mm-hmm. So let's strengthen that, put it in practice, start evaluating, and go from there.
Name the DM. Within that type, there's a script. I can easily make this in a MISO flowchart, and I can make this so easy. This script needs to be malleable and personalized to everyone. How I would kill it when I was handling my sales, and what is clearly being shown with this lab work funnel that I created, that my team's executing so well, is I'm sending you videos. I'm saying your name. I'm looking at your personal sensitive information that you shared with me, that you entrusted me with, and I'm breaking this down, decodifying, to take one of your words, in a manner that nobody else is. So I'm highlighting my skill set, which is one of one. There's no one else who can do what I do on the entire planet. And I'm giving this to you. I'm giving you some sauce. And I haven't even asked you to hop on a call. I haven't even asked you to spend $1 with me. I've asked nothing. And I'm already fixing more problems than your doctor, than your coach, than whoever. One side note, what's been really frustrating, I've looked at 60 lab reports, 59 of them were absolute shit, and only one protocol that I was sent was good whatsoever. I knew whose protocol it was. It's one of my good friends. And I texted him, I said, is this your protocol? Like, did your client send me this? And he's like, that's me. And I was like, dude, that's epic. But it goes to show, I personally looked at 60. My team's looking at all the rest. 59 sucked. So this means I have to get back involved in this personalization within the script of how we get people on the phone. So we need to have an SOP for when somebody gets to a certain warmth in the DMs. I get notified. I go in and I send a personalized video, decodifying whatever they've sent me, and now warming them even further to be able to impact them within either TM or ECA, depending on which lead they are. That's being shown in real time. That's our best sauce. When we did the 100K months, or the 100K weeks, we were doing that. And I'm not sure why we got away, but that's escaped my mind. So I dropped the ball there of, oh, hey, I haven't been notified to send anybody a video in a while.
There you go.
And we have this pre-recorded Loom video that breaks down ECA, because ECA is that's high ticket deal. But that Loom video, the issue with it now that I'm noticing because of what you just shared with me and helped me break through, that video's got hundreds of views. It's time for a new video. It's time for a new video.
So what I'm hearing you say, if we boil it down into the operations of your business, one critical factor for the operations of your business is personalization. That's really what you're saying. And you're noticing that personalization has begun to wane. And we're seeing a response in sales.
And when it comes back, we'll see it go back up. I'm ready to
do it. You're ready to do it. Now, here's the good news about you stepping in and doing what you've just done. There are now, it sounds like 59 Loom videos
Yeah.
that you've created
Yeah.
that can now be training tools for your team.
That's interesting you say that. This is kind of a funny LOL. I haven't shared any of them with the sales team, but I share them all with the staff. And the staff is the TM staff. And like I'm seeing the light bulbs kind of click and go on. And like, yeah, this is how you talk, this is how you.
The
like,
sales
this is
team
how you
needs
go.
to see them.
The sales team needs to see that.
The
too.
sales team needs to see them. It's so funny. We're having a little bit of a parallel week. I am not frustrated because I haven't switched seats yet.
Yeah.
So we're doing our group coaching cohort. And I think, as you're aware, the first time you do anything is the heaviest lift.
Yeah.
The first time you do anything is the heaviest lift. I was in a meeting yesterday and the client said, I feel like I'm pushing a rope uphill. I had not heard that phrase. And for whatever reason, that visualization just came directly to my mind. Doesn't that sound like the worst thing to
Does.
ever do?
Does.
Push a rope? I mean, how do you even
Uphill.
do
I know.
that? Sounds terrible.
Yeah.
So we're starting our first group coaching cohort. It's incredibly approachable. It's $600 a person. It's a 1-year commitment, so it's $7,200 a year. All told, this is like $43,000 in business for us. It has taken me enormous effort to get this group coaching cohort done and secured. I believe though, as we're getting number 1, we already have number 2 and 3
Yep.
in the works. So that's great. Well, the reason I feel excited about it is because we've been building out our process of how we bring on group coaching cohort participants as we've done it. And we have a new person who's in a BD seat and is providing me support, which is wild and exciting, terrifying, all the right things. And so I have included her on these meetings. And I've had 30-minute meetings that go through our entire process. So the Modus 9 process that we teach our clients in sales is you first discover who they are and what their needs are. You then tell them who you are and how you could fill those needs. And third, you propose your solution. And so normally, I mean, our average client had been 100,000 or more per year. So you would have each of those steps would be its own meeting. Doesn't matter. No matter what the steps are, discover who they are, uncover what they need. Introduce them to who you are and how you can fill their need. Reach general agreement and then submit a proposal. So now we're doing that all on either a phone call or a video call. My support person, Callie, has gotten to join in and be part of those calls. So now she has record and she has firsthand observation of exactly how that's going to go. She is not ready, but she's so close to ready to do it on her own. This is the visibility your sales team needs. So when you are stepping into a role and you acknowledge, God, I don't feel like I should need to be doing this. You immediately have to determine, how can I use it as training and who could be following me on this right now? How can I use it as training and who could be following me? And you want to really look at both of them, because if you figure out how you can use it as training, that means it has legs beyond this current moment. If you have someone sit in with you, that has limited value, because as soon as that person isn't on your team anymore, they don't have that connectivity. What are you learning?
That I need to have Kelly sit in with me on more things pertaining to TM, but I need to have more one-to-ones with the sales team.
And those will be hard.
I not to cut you off.
No, go.
We've made a lot of money with the sales team. That gives me confirmation bias that, everything's fine, good, working. The socials are growing really fast right now. Like, we're going up about 1.2 thousand followers a week at the moment, and that's going to continue rising. So it's 1.2 thousand people that They're all coming in with very branded content. I post nothing that's not on brand. So you could consider each of them a cold lead, but none of them are dead leads. Like, no one's coming in because I post hot boy stuff, right? Like, it's all very professional. I wanna go back and rebuild the foundation all the way back up. We have some good stuff going on. What I'm viewing, Sam and I went through this house on Lake Austin. It's the only house on Lake Austin that's even remotely affordable within the next year for me. I want to live on Lake Austin if I'm not downtown. It's about a $4.5 million house. I can't afford it now. It's like, if we continue with these numbers, then I could. The issue with the house is I didn't like the house. I like the lot. I like the backyard. I like the front yard. I like the gate. I like the community. I love the location. I think I need to treat this like, if I were to buy that house, I need to gut the house. And we're gonna keep the things that we like, the things that we know work, the reason why I bought this house, the reason why I brought the sales team on. We're gonna keep these things. But I need to rebuild it in a manner that doesn't allow me to dislike the house. Or me to have, if we have a $26,000 a week, I need to be happy with it.
That's
because
right.
You know what? People just didn't take the offers this week, and that's okay. Because the issue I'm having now is we didn't make enough offers this week. That's not okay. If people just don't take the offers, that happens. That's part of the job.
Well, and what you're really saying goes back to breaking down each step, figuring out what is a metric that equals success in that step, tracking it weekly. Each step needs a metric. Each metric needs tracked each week. And now I think you saw a new way to break down and track those metrics each week. What gets tracked gets done. What gets tracked gets done. And
we
Justin,
need less conversations. We need less conversations. I need to show them. We need less conversations so we can put more effort into quality conversations.
yeah,
Everyone needs a message. That's a big thing of mine. In social media world, and if I could help you and Eric with this as we progress this year, I feel very, very strongly, to a point where I wouldn't be able to be moved off of this, that when you follow, you get a message. If you follow my account, we're going to message you. That's outreach. We're gonna
welcoming someone to your
Welcome.
home.
Yeah, welcome to the community.
What happens?
I'm happy to have you here.
When they follow you, you opened the door, they stepped in. What do you do once someone steps in your home?
Welcome them.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that has to happen. That's step one. Based on the response there, we know what resources to give and what resources to not give.
So let's pause on that for just a quick minute.
Yeah.
I know you've got more to say. I want to hear it. So if we think about that in terms of metrics and tracking, we now know we need to track how many new followers did we get in a week? How many welcomes did we give?
And that's impossible for one person to give 1,200 welcomes.
Those messages, those numbers need to match, is what you just said.
A 100% match.
There you go. So now you have a new metric.
Yeah.
Now you have a new metric. Followers and welcomes must match every week.
Absolutely.
Now you can put a process in place to make that happen.
The issue becomes, I don't want to use ManyChat for that. We use ManyChat for some other things, like for our ads. I don't want to use ManyChat for that. For those that aren't familiar with ManyChat, that's if you shoot me like the word elite, you get information about ECA.
It's a bot. You get an auto
so
response.
it's a bot.
Yeah.
I want humans to send these messages. One human cannot send 1,200 messages. It would be impossible to do that. So many more humans in the DMs. It's because I want personalization in these messages. I don't want to copy paste. I want you to say the name, and I want you. Can we figure out in under 2 messages, in under 3 messages, so in 2.5 or less messages, can we figure out why they're here? If you're just here for content, amazing. If you're here to learn something more, let's slowly heat it up. But I don't want you to say that, I'm looking for a new coach. Oh, let's hop on a call. I think we need to have like 10 messages. I nurture.
I love where your head's at with this, and I'm going to reinforce it.
Yeah.
A while back, I talked about Nike.
Yeah.
And I talked about how just do it meant something more than a slogan that we see on billboards and T-shirts, et cetera. And one of the things that they do in their customer service is they have real conversations. So if you're chatting with them, there's a real person that's having a real discussion with you. What you're talking about doing, I think, is brilliant. And it's circumventing a big part of the process. Mm-hmm. So most organizations will use the point of entry as the time to put the bot in. Mm-mm. And you're saying we're going to put the bot in later once we formed a bit of a relationship, because what you're going to use this initial human intensive stage for, you're going to use that to really be able to understand why we have this follower, what category this follower fits in, how we're going, then based on the category, how do we communicate with this follower? And once you get that down a little bit more through that funnel, then you can have a bot start having some exchanges with them.
Yes.
Your point, though, is absolutely incredible. We still crave human connection.
Absolutely.
And followers almost never get welcomed. Mm-hmm. And if they get welcomed, it's almost never a human. Mm-hmm. So you are flipping the norm on its head, and I think it's going to be very winning. I think that's going to be very winning.
I have to say, this has been by far the most important meeting for my mind that we've had.
Well, what's happening is when you the reason I think that is you stepped in feeling a little bit defeated today, feeling like, wait, so this business can't grow without me. Yeah. There's too much of it that's expected on me. This sucks. Now I don't have my peace. Now I don't have my schedule. And what I think you're realizing, and I want to hear it in your words, is there are going to be times where, yes, you have a superpower and yes, you need to help. As long as you do that in a way that's productive later that we're talking about. It might have been really important for you to step in and just plow through like you did. I think there are some tweaks you can see to make next time that happens. Better, though, you're realizing that your business is not ready for you to not be involved, yet every bit that you are involved affords you an opportunity to build out the processes. When I had the conversation with Kelly after you and I talked a couple weeks ago, it was so wonderful to talk with her.
Is she cool?
I am pumped about Kelly.
She's amazing.
She brings so much to the team. One of the things I shared with her, I said, you have a big job to do. And I'm not talking the job of CEO. I'm talking the job of now having your founder see you as CEO. Yep. Because the relationship you and Kelly have right now is a very respectful, more mentor-mentee relationship. Yep. And that is not where it's moving to. Mm-hmm. You're now going to need to recognize Kelly as an executive in her own right. Mm-hmm. She is going to need to see you for what you bring to the table. Mm-hmm. And while she can continue to respect you, any level of idolization has to go away. Yep. Has to go away, because that is going to get in her way of pushing back, of putting you, helping you stay in the place where the organization most needs you. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, you're a powerful person in terms of your literal position in your businesses. They're yours, so you're the person in the seat of the most power. You are powerful in the way you go about things. You can be very forceful, especially when frustrated. Mm-hmm. Like the look on your face today is wildly intense. Mm-hmm. And it gets that way. That's okay. Mm-hmm. Well, you got to have somebody. Kelly needs to be that person who can manage you while you're intense, mm-hmm. who can say, okay, yes, I'm frustrated about this too. We got to break it down. Yeah. So if you need 2 minutes, Justin, to vent, take the 2 minutes to vent, then it's over. And now we have to figure out how we're solving this. Yes. And we don't want Kelly to end up being, you vent on her, this is how we have to change it. This is what we need to do. And then she goes, okay. And then you expect that she actually understood what you meant while you're upset, because she's not going to. And also, you didn't give her the opportunity to suggest how to solve the problem. So now you're just expecting her to drink your Kool-Aid. Maybe she doesn't even know what flavor it is. So there's a lot of growth and evolution that has to take place in your relationship.
I agree with that. And I appreciate you taking her on and working with her. You want to end it here and then we'll start with the next one?
I think we can do that. What are your biggest takeaways today?
People will perform according to the process and codify my intuition within a process. By far.
And make sure our first engagements are human.
Yeah.
That's something that you just declared is consistent across anything, probably with all of your companies.
Actually, one more. When I'm doing something, this is a note. I'm going to send this podcast to, I'm going to make all the ECA. Actually, I'm probably going to put this one inside of ECA. When I'm doing something I want to do, how can I use this as training? Who can be following me?
I love it.
So it's like, creating systems is whenever you're doing a tedious task, figure out how to freaking make this into a task that doesn't need to be tedious anymore and can run on autopilot. Autopilot for a lot of those tasks for me now is AI. This one, autopilot, is Kelly. So replace autopilot with Kelly. How can Kelly do this and empower her as CEO and give her more ability to lead and act and be seen as executive? The whole staff sees her as executive. Our relationship has shifted significantly over the last month. And I'm seeing her much more as executive. I think she's doing a fantastic job, not like idolizing me, and definitely like stepping into this role. I want to make sure I don't throw too many things on her. But this is a very important note as well.
It is.
I'm going to take Kelly along with training.
So boil it down to, you've got great takeaways there. What are clear action steps you're going to do with this? 1, 2, or 3 of them.
Yeah, number one, for the codify intuition within a process, name the DM, have the script that's very malleable. I'm going to make a MISO flow chart to be able to do that. We need to get more people in the DMs. That's for the sales team to figure. It's not for me to figure. But I need to create the SOP of how we connect with people. And when I step in, which is kind of like a 1B for the codify, and I need to review our performance metrics to ensure that everyone can perform up to standard with the process that I want to see fit. Because my desired outcome here is the next time we have a sales week less than 30K, I don't want to be pissed off. I want to be like, fine. Like I said, if we make 40 offers in a week and we don't even clear 30K, that's, you know what?
Then we review the process in order to decide what needs to change in the process for the performance to be better. That's exactly right. And the blind spot that's woven into all of this is that you have not had clear metrics for every single step in the process.
I can easily get that done.
Yep. Well done.
I appreciate you. Grow or die. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.